Welcome to Tanisha Got Bangers 2. You feel me? We're finna react to Chicago's most dangerous neighborhood. Disclaimer: this is the channel for educational purposes only. To not do this stuff is not right, but do not attempt to do this at all.
Not intending to glorify, incite, or encourage illegal behavior in any way. Everything in this video has been taken from publicly available sources, and any footage used is covered under the doctrine of fair use. We have made every effort to ensure the accuracy of our sources, but I'm not responsible for content third parties publish. All of the opinions in this video are mine alone. This video contains themes of violence, death, explicit language, and gang activity.
I do not promote gang activities or no violence. None.
Every effort has been made to censor this video in accordance with YouTube's advertiser and community guidelines. However, if you want to see my videos with everything I can't show you on YouTube, please visit patreon.com/traplawross, where you can watch uncut versions of my videos for just $2 a month. But if you're not interested in that, just hit the subscribe Low End, where Tay Savage went to war following the death of his best friend that saw the area renamed Welch World. There's been a lot of contenders for Chicago's most notorious hood. However, according to one of the most famous publications in the city, there might finally be a definitive answer. Because Chicago newspaper The Sun-Times released an article in 2023 covering what they believed to be the city's most violent neighborhood, an area known as West Garfield Park.
Breaking overnight, Chicago police are looking for the person who opened fire in a shooting that left a woman dead.
And new this morning, an 86-year-old woman is shot while watering her grass.
3 Chicago police officers and a federal.
So now you can't even water your grass? Y'all unlock a 86-year-old woman? Boy, I heard Chicago
shooting and killing a man. One woman was killed and 4 others were hurt in a shooting early this morning.
The family left heartbroken this morning when a 10-year-old boy is shot in front of his twin sister.
This happened in Garfield Park.
The boy was found in West Garfield Park.
5 people were shot
in the West Garfield Park neighborhood.
The Sun-Times article begins with the stern statement that no city in America sees more shootings than Chicago, and nowhere in the city is gun violence more intense than in West Garfield Park. When assessing the history of the area, we can see that gun violence and murder is nothing new to West Garfield Park. Famous Chicago legend Twista actually mentioned the area in the skit for his classic song Mobster's Anthem. The skit, which features the police interviewing a suspect and saying, "You know you was on Adams and Keeler on January the 17th when you committed that murder." This song was released in 1997 and shows the West Garfield Park area has been notorious in Chicago for its violent crime for decades. As a point of reference, West Garfield Park is an estimated 25-minute drive from the most popular Chiracologists' point of reference, Parkway Gardens, aka O-Block. But perhaps as a surprise to many drill fans, the area is located on Chicago's west side rather than its infamous south side. Southside Chicago.
Wait, ain't that's where King Von and Lil Durk and I been seeing other reaction channels like react to King Von, the O-Block, and all them, and yeah, and alright. Sorry,
historically been noted as the city's most dangerous/deadly part of the city, and it's often the area believed to have spawned the notorious nickname for the city, Chirac. However, when you take a closer look at West Garfield Park's crime statistics, it paints a shocking reality. West Garfield Park already had the highest homicide rate and the lowest life expectancy 10 years ago in 2014. The Sun-Times article actually shows that there have been over 1,000 recorded shootings in this small 1-mile radius within the last 5 years. That's a shooting every other day for 5 years straight. It's insane. One Reddit user actually shared how they believe the west side of Chicago is actually the most objectively dangerous when all factors are considered. Yeah, I feel the west side is the roughest part of the city. Before the south side got a trauma center at University of Chicago, the west side technically had less murders, because they have 2 close hospitals to treat gunshot wounds, and it's smaller, so the south side generally gets more attention. Also, dudes out west don't rap as much, and even if they do, you won't hear specific names or events like they do on the South Side. The Illinois Policy Institute actually released an article in 2023 detailing just how dangerous the West Side is, essentially putting it on par with the South Side, complete with a chilling map that showed you exactly where you were most likely to get shot in Chicago, the West Side and the South Side, of course, battling it out for dominance. West Garfield Park itself is apparently a large contributor as to why the West Side's reputation for danger is worsening, and the demographics of those being killed is upsetting, if not surprising, with it reportedly being a narrow swathe of the neighborhood population disproportionately becoming victims of murder in the community, with 2/3 of them being under 30, 85% of the victims being male, and a whopping 94% of those 1,500 murder victims in the last 2 decades being
85% of male victims, well, not victims, but shoot, like, unalive, bro. And they young, probably.
The neighborhood itself is reported to have had the highest murder rate in Chicago. In 2014, the murder rate occurred a whopping 116 times per 100,000 people. That means statistically, for every 862 people living there, one of them is getting murdered every year. Another shocking example can be seen between May the 21st and 22nd, 2021. The legal help firm Facebook page actually posted 5 separate incidents that resulted in murder from this just 2-day span. And Redditors would even share.
Like I said, they young. I just seen one of them said 15, 18 and 15, and it said something else. They barely didn't even make it to the age of 21.
West Garfield Park had higher reported gun violence within that selected 72-hour period than other entire cities in the USA, including those cities that are notoriously dangerous for their gun and gang violence, suggesting that in that 72-hour period, West Garfield Park was more deadly than the entirety of St. Louis, New Orleans, Baltimore, or Detroit. And funnily enough, it's just a short drive from the most luxury shopping districts. West Garfield Park is only 10 minutes away from Chicago's downtown. However, being so close to the luxurious downtown doesn't reflect West Garfield Park's environment, because many buildings and businesses can be seen boarded up and covered in graffiti or subject to vandalism. Perhaps an example of broken window theory, which suggests the rundown state of an area itself can actually encourage yet more criminal behavior there. It's clear to see that the poverty and lack of opportunity has hit this area hard, and it's largely a factor as to why it's been deemed specifically Chicago's most violent neighborhood, with one outreach and intervention manager at the Institute of Nonviolence in Chicago claiming that for young people living there, it's an isolated life where they simply cannot go certain places without risking death. And as a result, many of these youngsters never get to experience life beyond their block, with some youngsters there apparently never having even been to the beach or the movies in their entire life. Interestingly, despite the rundown nature of the area, there's still an active property market, with realtors having to get extremely creative with their language in an effort to try and sell properties there. When visiting Dream Real Estate's website, their listings for West Garfield Park are described with a vivid air of self-denial, with the site itself reading, "The up-and-coming West Garfield Park is still an affordable option for first-time homebuyers, young working singles, and families alike. Gradual modernization of housing is slowly giving this classic neighborhood a contemporary facelift, although the majority of the properties here are of the vintage suasion rather than new design." Now, the lack of a slideshow displaying properties in West Garfield Park speaks volumes. The website shows just 2 stock images of the area, one of which being a sign outside of a park and another being the local corner store. It doesn't really sell these vintage properties that were promised in the description. In fact,
It really don't sell the community because half of it's boarded up. Okay? And that's like, sorry for my finger, sorry for my arm in a way, but still, it's like here in Texas, here on the south side, okay, we had stuff like boarded up, like boarded up. I mean, like houses boarded up because it's like people breaking in, stealing stuff, but still, how can you stop the war in your neighborhood if stuff is built, boarded up, and people like damaging properties. See, you can't, and you want to have businesses there, but still, people are being afraid because like they don't know what's gonna happen. But I'm not saying I don't know about Chicago like that, but I really don't, because like when I was young, I wanted to go to Chicago and see the Chicago Bulls play when Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and all them was playing the Lakers. I was young as hell watching
Despite the
basketball.
problems in the
Still,
area,
anyway.
there's still a thriving property market with a large range of properties for sale in a varied price range. Realtor listings in the area range from as low as $6,000 for a vacant lot to one of the cheapest existing properties in the area being only $55,000 for a boarded up house with just 3 bedrooms, all the way up to the most expensive property for sale in West Garfield Park. For $600,000, you could buy a full apartment block with space for 14 occupants. Hell, maybe I would invest in the area if I didn't have to dodge bullets on the way to the viewing. But if you were thinking of snapping up a bargain property in West Garfield Park, you might want to do your research before visiting. When searching for Garfield Park on Reddit's premier Chicago drill and gang community Chiracology, the first 2 results are shocking murder videos from the area. The first being a fight that quickly turned into a retaliation shooting in a matter of seconds, showing just how deadly and volatile the area is. Commenters on Reddit would share detailed posts of the litany of gang sets that control the borders in this area, and explaining how there's a distinction between each side of Garfield Park, labeling the west side as more dangerous than the east side, which apparently still sees a lot of action, while others cynically argue that the east and west side of Garfield Park are still competitive in terms of killings and shootings. Users of the subreddit would even make a virtual walkthrough of the area on Google Maps, pointing out that even on Google Street View, a man can be seen clutching a pistol in his right hand. Now, the problems with West Garfield Park unfortunately get much deeper than the insights gleaned from Google Maps or local real estate listings. The West Garfield Park neighborhood is at the heart of the area where such drug dealing takes place, and there are news articles all the way back from the 90s up to the present day talking about these markets and the residents' desperate attempts to shut them down. The drug dealers have even allegedly shut down streetlights there to better enable the drug dealing trade and other crime that takes.
That's sad. But if you want to check out Troutmore Ross, I will leave the link in the description below so you can go check out the rest of this video. But still, it's a sad. This is sad that you can't even stay in your own community and because of crime rates. Because of the crime rates. That's everywhere. No matter where you at, it's still crime. And the only way to stop this crime, because it's either locking these people up, and I mean locking them up and getting them off the street, because it's only going to lead to 2 places: prison or the grave. And you can't even live in your own community. That's sad. That's sad, bro. It's so fucking sad.